Hey y'all, I am a 34-year-old virgin. And I'm not really sure how to start this, where to begin. So, I am 34 and I am a virgin. I never really pondered my virginity. So prior to starting this video, I actually had to look up my age because I don't really celebrate birthdays. I'm kind of an anomaly in that sense. Not only am I a 34-year-old virgin, but I also don't really celebrate birthdays. So I don't know what age I am. So I actually had to look up how old I was. And I thought I was actually 35, but it turned out that I'm only 34. So I guess that was kind of good news. I still have a year left to go. Well, not really a year, maybe half a year before I turn 35. But I am 34 and I am a virgin. It's just two factors that merged, converged, and came together and turned me into a 34-year-old virgin. If it weren't for one or the other, I wouldn't be that interesting. I guess I'm a failure in life because it's the only thing interesting about me, that I've been a virgin for so long. I do feel pathetic and pitiful only in that sense. Well, actually I take that back. I don't really feel pitiful and pathetic, but I think everybody else will probably project that onto me. People will see that I am pathetic and that I'm a loser and that I'm hopeless. But I honestly don't really contemplate my virginity. I didn't even know how to begin this video because how do I even go about explaining my virginity? I don't know where to begin. It's not something that I think about. In fact, I never even thought about it until I decided to shoot this video. I guess you might be wondering if I am a virgin by choice. I'm not sure if it is by choice. I don't really think I had a choice. I did show some interest on my part, but I'm not sure if the interest was mutual. Sometimes I felt that the interest was mutual until it wasn't. So I would never quite build up the courage to ask them out. I think my opportunities, my chances of having sex with women expired by the time I was 20. After 20, I found it very difficult to find women who were friendly to me. Women were kind of friendly to me growing up during junior high, high school, and through the first half of my college years. And then at some point, it seemed like everybody kind of moved on. They had gotten into relationships, they had broken up, they had gone through the entire life cycle of a relationship, or few, and they just weren't really that interested in getting into another bad relationship. So everyone was jaded by then. People had kind of already moved past the romantic notion of boyfriend and girlfriend, or boyfriend and boyfriend and girlfriend, depending on your sexual orientation. It just got more and more difficult for me because it just seemed like women were harder to gauge. I don't know. I feel like there is so much interest that is shown to women on the part of men that women kind of become jaded to interest shown by men. And so it's difficult because you need to have something special about you. And I never had that going for me. The only thing that's interesting about me, finally, is that I'm 34 and still a virgin, ironically enough. The very thing that prevented me from non-virginity is oh gosh, I just confused myself. But you get my meaning. I tried to be special when I was younger and I couldn't do it. Thus, I couldn't have sex with women. Now that very thing has made me special, which is a very absurd twist of fate. I have never really been that proactive in having a sexual sexual experience. So here I am. I'm not really sorry, or I don't really feel sad about my virginity. It just happened. It's not something that I think about, like I said. Everything that I'm saying right now is essentially a stream of consciousness. I'm trying to justify why I'm a virgin, and really the only thing that comes to mind is that I didn't prioritize my sexual life, or lack thereof. I never set out to be a virgin, and I never set out to not be a virgin. I never set out to be in a relationship. I always thought that if it happens, it happens. I wanted it to be organic. This is why I never went online to meet women. I never went on Tinder. I never sought out a prostitute just for the sake of getting rid of the label, the stigma, the scarlet letter of being a virgin. I just don't really care. I honestly don't really care. When I was going through college, people would ask me, "Are you a virgin?" And I don't know why they would ask me that. Because I never expressed interest in other people's sexual lives. I didn't care if they were a virgin or not. It had no bearing on what I thought of them. But they would ask me out of the blue whether I was a virgin. And I wanted to tell them the truth. I like to be transparent. But everyone else was saying that they had already had sex. And I knew that they were going to make fun of me, and I would never live it down. So I hesitated every time because I was not a good liar. And I would tell them, "No, I'm not a virgin." And a lot of them didn't believe me because I didn't sound very convincing. And I didn't lead a very convincing life. I never brought anybody home. I never brought any women home. So they kind of were suspicious and skeptical about my claim that I was not a virgin. I would repeat myself and tell them, "No, I'm not a virgin." And I would just make up some fluff about having sex when I was in high school, which couldn't be further from the truth. Because I grew up in a sheltered household, we weren't allowed to bring anybody home. And plus, I lived in a really small house. So my room barely had enough space for a queen-size bed and a table. Those foldable, collapsible tables. And I didn't even have any space between the bed and the table to squeeze in a chair. So I sat on the mattress when I was sitting on the desk. It would have been really awkward if I brought anybody home to that room because it's so cramped. I never went out. We weren't really allowed to go out. So it kind of set a precedent. So I was very socially underdeveloped and thus socially awkward. I didn't really know how to function socially because I was so sheltered. You could imagine how difficult it was, how much more complicating it was for me to seek out a relationship with the opposite sex. And the older I got, I realized the more difficult it got. And I also heard a lot of horror stories. I felt less incentivized to seek out something that I was already feeling really uncomfortable about. I don't know, I think if I die without having sex, it wouldn't matter one way or the other. And I know that sounds radical, and it sounds like I'm trying to put on a brave face, and I'm trying to be courageous. I truly am apathetic to it. Now you might wonder, are you asexual? Perhaps you don't have a libido. I do have one. I do have a sexual desire, just like anybody else. It's just that for whatever reason, I never felt desperate enough to just seek out anybody, to have a consensual sexual experience with them. I don't know, maybe I am somewhat asexual because I never reached that level of desperation. And I hear about prisons where men are forcing themselves on each other because of the lack of females when they're incarcerated. And they claim that it has nothing to do with homosexuality, but it's only because there is no other substitute, which I find really odd because I haven't had sex for 34 years and I've never felt desperate enough to force myself on anybody, let alone someone who I'm not sexually attracted to. I guess what I'm trying to say is I've never felt compelled and desperate enough to force myself on other men because I couldn't have sex with women for 34 years. Not for a split second did I feel like, I really need to satisfy my sexual cravings, and I don't care who it is, even if it is a male. So maybe my libido is not as strong as that of a normal male? I don't know. I just never considered it a significant factor, an important part of my identity. It just happened. I wish I could say that my virginity was deliberate, that it was something that I pledged, that it was some kind of virtuous oath that I took for my religion. I'm not religious, by the way. I wish I could say that my virginity had something to do with my own effort, but no, it took no effort to become a virgin. It just happened, so I can't take credit for it. But anyway, I don't really know how to explain my virginity. I'm struggling to come up with a rationale for it. Like I said, it's just something that I don't really think about. It's not something that haunts me. And even if I die a virgin, I think the last thing on my mind will be the fact that I'm a virgin. I'll be gone. I won't be around anymore. The earth does not discriminate, regardless of whether you're a virgin or you're not a virgin, whether you are a multi-billionaire or you're homeless. You decompose all the same. The soil will incorporate you into the ground. So, yeah, I don't think, even if I turned into a ghost roaming the earth, I don't think I'll be regretting that I'm a virgin. I think that'll be the last thing on my mind. It was funny because there was this one woman who I was very attracted to, and she was probably the closest I ever got to establishing a relationship. So I totally blew it the first time because I was immature and insecure, so I never stepped up to the plate. I never manned up, as they say. So I never asked her out. I never asked for a number either. But I saw her in another class 2 years later, and so I tried to talk to her again because we had a very friendly relationship in class. We would talk to each other all the time during break, but she kind of just shut me down. I asked her, hey, don't we know each other? Or I think I asked her, hey, do I know you? Or something to that effect. It sounded like a really bad pickup line. So I asked her, hey, don't we know each other? And she immediately just said no, really loudly. And the entire class heard it. And I had also told my other colleagues that I was interested in her and that I was going to ask her out. And they all heard my rejection. Afterward, they patted me on the back and said, hey, we have to give you credit. You actually tried to talk to her, but she said no, so what can you do? I'm not really so much afraid of rejection. I don't know, maybe I am, because I am socially anxious. So it must mean I am afraid of rejection, so I don't ask. And they have that saying that if you don't ask, it's a no every time. I get it, but I don't know. In a way, I feel like I'm pretty good at reading body language, and unless they show me mutual interest, I don't really pursue them. And now I'm 34, and I feel like everybody else who's 34 and older have gone through so many cycles of bad relationships and bad breakups and marriages and divorce and child rearing that we're at totally different stages in life. And I don't think those people are going to have patience for me because I am so behind that I don't know the customary rules of how I'm supposed to act, how I'm supposed to behave in a relationship. And I think it'll cause a lot of frustration and confusion for both parties. Yeah, I'm even less desperate now. I would like to be in a relationship in the future, but if it doesn't happen, then it's also not something that I'm going to mourn or lament. I think a part of me will be melancholy. At this point, because I haven't been in a relationship yet, in a committed relationship, I think it'll be really awkward, and I'm kind of set in my ways. I'm kind of used to it. I'm complacent. I don't know, I just don't have the same exuberance and romantic concept of relationships like I once did. I feel like I'm too old to be in a relationship now. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. I don't know what kind of questions anybody would have for a 34-year-old virgin. I think it's all just self-explanatory. Anyway, thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.